grateful to everyone. And I'm grateful to be able to know you long distance. And everyone who's contributed to making this a wonderful program. I'm grateful for everyone. Okay, you can start right now. I'm going to talk briefly about how Dharma can help you develop your full potential. So, potential means what? It means power, capability, strength, everything that we are able to fully develop. Many of you have probably heard that we only use 10% of our mental capability. If that is true, just imagine if we can develop 70, 80, 90% of what we're capable of doing as human beings. So when you want to achieve a goal, most people, let's take an example. Let's say you want to become physically stronger. So you have a plan. You can go to the next slide. So you can have a plan to be physically stronger. For example, you may go to the gym, you may work out every day, you may run. And if you have a plan to have a good job, most people plan their life for work, for family, for health. But here we want to develop a plan for our entire life. So here's an example of a lifespan. From the time you're born, your body continues to grow. For the first 30 years of your life, your mind, your glands, your physical body is still developing. Most people between the ages of 27 to 30 complete that development. So when your full body is developed, that's when you can use everything that it gives you. And this is a marvelous machine, the most complex and beautiful machine on the planet. I don't know if you can remember that time. Maybe you haven't reached that age of 30, or if you've already gone over it. Try to remember if there were any events in your life around the ages of 27, say to 32, where you decided to do something and you decided to direct your life in a certain way. And you continue to do that for many years after that. Just many people at that age start something that they keep doing for many years of their life. Then after that, for the next, let's say, up to 70 years is when you have the maximum potential to express. Why? Because the health of the body and mind is at that time in life is at its peak. It reaches, actually it's at its peak around 30 years, and then up to 70 years, you start to decline. Decline doesn't mean that you stop doing and acting and expressing. It just means there are certain ages where the human body and mind has the capability to do more than it may in the future. There is a book, Cosmic Consciousness, and the author listed a number of people that reached enlightenment and the dates and ages that they experienced enlightenment. And most of those were between the ages of 27 to 35. So the body is ready to experience things at that age that it couldn't experience fully before or after. So if you plan your life, let's say you want to develop yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, think of this. Think of a line like this and think about how you want to utilize your time in this human body. You can go to the next slide. So the word Dharma, many people have heard the word Dharma, but what does it actually mean in Sanskrit, the original meaning? Dri means to hold an entity together. And man is a suffix. So Dharma means that which holds you together, that which makes you who you are, and that through which your full potential can be expressed, as we will see. It's your nature. Go to the next slide, please. So people who want to just look at the English, I'm just going to discuss the English on the right side. These are the characteristics of Dharma, your full potential. The first one is psychic expansion. What does that mean? That means your mind, your understanding, your intuition, your knowledge, your capability. All your capability comes through the mind. The body expresses it. So psychic expansion, fully using your mind. And the idea of Dharma is we use our minds to benefit this world. And I will show you some examples. You can probably think of examples yourself of people that you look up to and respect who have fully utilized their psychic expansion. Their minds have created things that we are benefiting from today. Then the second characteristic of Dharma is flow. Flow, what does that mean? It means your meditation. You're changing your brain when you meditate. You are changing the physical part of your brain when you meditate. Because science has shown us now that meditation creates more of certain physical manifestations through meditation. There's more gray matter. There is more flow in one area of the brain. So your meditation is actually mutating your physical brain. So rasa, flow, means your individual rhythm is going closer to the rhythm of consciousness. You're changing the brain waves in your mind. And why is that important? We will see. Okay. You can think why it's important, why you meditate right now. You think, and we'll have an answer soon. And the third expression is service, just wanting to help this world and help people. And then by these three expressions, psychic expansion, flow, and service, you merge into your full potential, into the greatness that you have inside you. Next slide, please. Okay, this is what is happening when you have a spiritual practice, when you have meditation. The word mantra, what does it mean? Tra means to free, and man means mind, to free the mind. And then there is tantra, which is part of the practices, the 8 limbs. What does it mean? Tra means to free, and tan means staticity, inertia. So every effort we make to fight against staticity is tantra. So the potential that you have means you have to move. You have to move your mind, you have to move your body, you have to move your thoughts, your physical body, and move spiritually. All three, if they're moving toward a positive goal, then you are utilizing your full potential. Next slide, please. We know so much about the brain these days. So these are different areas of our brain. When we meditate, we are also expanding each of these areas. In the process of meditation, we are concentrating on something beyond our physical brain and beyond the psychic also. But when we come out of meditation, these areas of the brain have changed and expanded and are developing. So that practice is creating movement. So who are people that have utilized these different areas of the brain? Next slide, please. Okay, these are some examples of people actually in the Western world that utilizing this psychic potential through their study, through their concentration, and through the intuitive brain. So Darwin is the first example. The theory of evolution. His mind, he studied, but he couldn't quite get it. And then in a quiet time when he was riding in the countryside, the part of his brain, the creative, the intuitive, the all-knowing just opened up, and he saw clearly the whole evolutionary process. So he used study, he used concentration, but the actual discovery that he made was in a moment of intuition. The next one is Mendeleev, and he wrote the table of elements. And he himself said that he couldn't figure it out, but he had a dream one night. And in the dream, he saw it. He saw clearly all of the connections. And then he just woke up and copied it down. And then there's Michelangelo. The first two are scientists, and Michelangelo, as you know, is a great painter. But when he painted, he said he couldn't do it without having this inspiration from the Holy Ghost. He just went into a trance. So these are three examples from Western civilization where not the full mind, but a large part of the mind developed through study, concentration, and inspiration, intuition. And these people may not have been doing meditation. So their minds could have developed even more. The human potential here has given us something wonderful, but it could be even more. Next slide. So this is what's happening when you meditate. You are an individual. When you use your mantra, your individual identity changes and becomes closer to pure consciousness. Now, why is that important in terms of your potential? Next slide. When you experience this feeling in meditation, your identity changes. You no longer identify with your individual rhythm. And so you identify with everything and everyone. When that happens in meditation, the way you live your life, the plans you make for your life change completely. What separates us, what causes us suffering in this world is limited identification. Everything changes when you identify with everyone and everything. The work you do, the plans you make, what you feel you can contribute goes through enormous transformation just from this feeling of oneness. And how do you get it? There's only one way, and that's to go inward and inward and inward, because outwardly you won't find it. You can only find it through that inward practice. Next slide, please. So here is how your mind will change. Through meditation, through expansion, your identity goes from yourself to your family to an identity where you feel responsible for the earth and all the creatures on the earth and all the countries on the earth and all the political activities on the earth. It's not just one that you identify with. You are experiencing and feeling what people in other countries are feeling. Then even religion, your identity changes. You don't identify with just one religion, one race, or one class. Your mind takes you beyond all of that. And then you identify with every animate and inanimate being and expression in the universe. You see how your mind can express so differently when you have this identity. Diversity is just something to enjoy outwardly, because you know inwardly everything is the same longings, the same goals. And so That's why meditation brings out the potential in you for your full contribution to the planetary family. Next slide. So when you go to help people, you see not the outside, you see the inside. And inside, you are the same. You know, it's not only what's inside the person, but the actual person or building or table or whatever you are using and getting close to on this planet. It's all made of the same stuff. It's not inside and outside, it just is. So that identification, the people who feel that way, they can think of the welfare of all, not only the welfare of one country or one government or one race. If your mind identifies with all, you cannot ignore. You cannot ignore anyone or anything. So your potential to contribute to everything on this planet increases because of meditation. So when we talk about full potential, we're talking about potential for the welfare of this planet. So Dharma, that is what Dharma is. Dharma means your full potential to contribute everything to the welfare of everyone, whether it's your small family, your big family, animals, plants, nature. People with that mentality can do great things for this universe and become planetary leadership trainers. Namaskar.